Join me in the invitation to gather. Mardi Gras is the love of life.
It is the harmonic convergence of our food,
our music, our creativity,
our eccentricity, our neighborhoods,
and our joy of living.
All at once.
Dear God, laissez les bon temps rouler. We all know that's New Orleans for let the good times roll. Today we will bring New Orleans into New England to remind us, God, that you like a good time too. In New Orleans, they also know about mourning, and they'll set aside a time for that, as we will. We all know, because we're all human, what it means to lose. There will be a time for mourning here in your house come Good Friday. And with Lent, starting Tuesday, Mardi Gras, there'll be a time for contemplation. But now is the time for joy and toe tapping, a time for appreciating what we have, our days off, our families, our homes in whatever state they're in, our children who know how to laugh uproariously, and even the fun of a chocolate extravaganza. For now, may we forget our troubles, knowing you are there for all of our times. Let the good times roll. Amen. Please join me in the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our sins, as we forgive those who sin against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
Please be seated. Good morning. Welcome to New England Congregational Church for this Fat Sunday celebration. A very special welcome to those who are guests with us today. Please note your attendance in the friendship register before passing it to your neighbor. We hope you'll all join us upstairs for the Chocolate Festival after worship in Friendship Hall. There are loads of delicious looking things up there, including the chocolate fountains, so we hope you'll stick around. We're so pleased to welcome back this morning's guest musicians, John Papadolius on the guitar, Chad Watson on bass, and Steve Gogol on sax, and Heather Azum singing for us today. Thank you to you and to all those who helped prepare for the party afterwards. Please take a moment and read through the announcements in your bulletin sometime today. Of special note, this coming Wednesday, we invite you back to New England Church as we begin the season of Lent together with our service of ashes, right here in the sanctuary at 7 p.m. We promise the service won't last more than 30 minutes, but it will be 30 minutes well worth your time. The Women's Circle of Friends will meet next Saturday for breakfast and Scrabble at 9:30 a.m. Please sign up in the office or online to participate. And beginning next Wednesday, March 12th, you're invited to join us for our adult Lenten study, In the Footsteps of Mystics. We'll meet weekly through April 9th with dinner at 5:30 and the study from 6 to 7. There is no cost to participate and all are welcome. Please sign up in the office or online. Now remember that no matter who you are or where you are on your journey of faith and life, you are very welcome in this place. Please greet your neighbors as the Joy Ringers prepare for their anthem. Our children are invited forward at this time. Wow. Good morning.
Good morning.
It's really good to see all of you this morning. It's chocolate day. A chocolate fest, that's right.
A lot of chocolate, it gets so crazy that I might run off the wall.
You get a little crazy when you eat a lot of chocolate? All right, guys. We've been warned. It is chocolate day. I've heard it called chocolate church. I've heard it called lots of different things, but it is wonderful that you are here to enjoy it with us. In just a few minutes, we're going to hear two stories that have something unusual in common. Something unusual in common. Now, before you guess, I'm going to let you know that these are both Bible stories.
Cocoa beans. Cocoa beans.
Cocoa beans?
Yes, Ramadan. Cocoa beans.
Ramadan? Okay.
Cocoa beans make chocolate.
Bible stories are stories that come from the holy book that we use in church.
Cocoa beans make chocolate.
So it's got tons of stories in it, and you're going to get to hear two of them today. Yep.
If one of my cousins were here at the chocolate fountain day, I think he would just put his mouth under it and
You think so? I think there are some people who would definitely put their mouths under the chocolate fountain. But we're going to encourage all of you not to do that. So any other guesses what might be in common with these two stories from the Bible? Mm-hmm. Fat Sunday? That's a really good guess too. Mm-hmm. Sure, something that Jesus taught us about. That's a really good guess. Quinn?
Chocolate!
Chocolate. Much to your disappointment, there is no mention of chocolate in the entire Bible. Those are really good guesses, but there's no cocoa beans either. But the thing that the stories do share in common is that the main character in both stories has a shiny face. A shiny face. Now, I don't mean shiny like they just ran a race and so they're glistening, and I don't mean the glow of a person in love. We're talking more like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer kind of shiny. In the first story, Moses' face is so shiny that he has to wear a veil because everyone is scared of him. And in the second story, Jesus' face is so shiny that his friends fall to the ground in fear. Isn't that weird? A veil is like kind of like a mask, but it's more like a cloth that you put over your face. I have no idea. But you probably have heard these stories. But Jesus tells us that we are supposed to be shiny too. Yeah, he says, you are the light of the world. And that means you and me and all of us together are supposed to be shiny too. We're supposed to shine in all of the places where it's kind of scary and there's not enough light. What kind of places might those be in our world?
Do you believe in magic?
Do I believe in magic? That's a really good question. Do you?
Because magic is because God spoke first and that let there be light.
Yeah, some of the things that God does feel pretty magical. Yeah, Quinn? A funeral, that might be a place to shine light. Yes.
That kind of makes me think of any dark places.
Dark places, sure. Caves.
Like the challenge
The Challenger Deep in the ocean, that's a really good one. Yes, Ireland.
Like in the
Yeah, like when people are scared, like when we get scared.
like when the baby is just hot and red, and we just want to sometimes we get so mad.
Yeah, sometimes when we get angry and we start to feel mad, I think other places might be school on test days. Or what about a war-torn country? Or what about a hospital where people are sick? Or what about governments where people make big decisions? Or what about playgrounds where somebody might get bullied? All of those places and so many more are places that we can shine our light. School is pretty rough, huh? It's the worst. Have you guys ever heard the song, This Little Light?
Yeah.
What are the words? Shall we sing it together? No. This little light of mine? What if everybody sings it together? Yeah, let's do it. All right, on 3. 1, 2, 3. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Nicely done. This week, be shiny. Let your light shine in all the places where it's kind of scary and where there's not enough light. Let's share a prayer together now. Dear God, we're grateful for Jesus and Moses and all the other people through history who let their light shine. Help us let our light shine too. Amen. Thank you all for being here on Fat Sunday. You can go back to your seats.
Them that's got shall get, them that's not shall lose. So the Bible said, and it still is news. Mama may have, Papa may have, but God bless the child that's got his own, that's got his own. Yes, the strong gets more, while the weak ones fade. Empty pockets don't ever make the grade. Mama may have, Papa may have, but God bless the child that's got his own,
Today, as we prepare for our time of prayer, we remember Ruth May, recently hospitalized. Let us be together now in a spirit of prayer. Today, God, on the threshold of the season of Lent, we're grateful for this day of celebration. Soon the fast will begin. We may give something up or take something on, a new practice, devotion, or discipline. Today, though, we fast and we feast. We are especially grateful for one another. May we also be mindful of those with unmet needs. As we share and celebrate together, may we commit ourselves to greater generosity toward those who need our support. The song says, God bless the child that's got his own. But we know that Jesus said, blessed are you who are poor. Blessed are you who are hungry now. Blessed are you who weep now. Blessed are you when people hate you on my account. We know that Jesus calls us to bless and to be a blessing. In a world where the wealthy and powerful, the violent and corrupt really do seem to reap the greatest blessings, Jesus points us beyond what we can see, to imagine with him what can be, and to do our part to make it a reality. So may this time of celebration be a respite that we might go forth renewed for the work to which we are called. Amen.
Why should I feel discouraged? Why should the shadows come? Why should my heart be lonely and long for heaven and home? When Jesus is my portion, my constant friend is he. His eye is on the sparrow, and I know he watches me. His eye is on the sparrow, and I know he watches me. I sing because I'm happy. I sing because I'm free. For his eye is on the sparrow, and I know he watches me. Let not your heart be troubled. His tender words I hear, and resting on his goodness, I lose my doubts and fear. Though by the path he leadeth, but one step I may see.
reading from the Hebrew Bible, the book of Exodus. Moses came down from Mount Sinai. As he came down from the mountain with the 2 tablets of the covenant in his hand, Moses did not know that the skin of his face shone because he had been talking with God. When Aaron and all the Israelites saw Moses, the skin of his face was shining, and they were afraid to come near him. But Moses called to them, and Aaron and all the leaders of the congregation returned to him, and Moses spoke with them. Afterwards, all the Israelites came near, and he gave them in commandment all that the Lord had spoken with him on Mount Sinai. When Moses had finished speaking with them, he put a veil on his face. But whenever Moses went in before the Lord to speak with him, he would take the veil off until he came out. And when he came out and told the Israelites what he had been commanded, the Israelites would see the face of Moses, that the skin of his face was shining. And Moses would put the veil on his face again until he went in to speak with God. Here ends the reading.
Here now a second reading, this one from the Gospel according to Luke, the 9th chapter. Now about 8 days after these sayings, Jesus took with him Peter and John and James and went up on the mountain to pray. And while he was praying, the appearance of his face changed, and his clothes became dazzling white. Suddenly they saw 2 men, Moses and Elijah, talking to him. They appeared in glory and were speaking of his departure, which he was about to accomplish at Jerusalem. Now Peter and his companions were weighed down with sleep. But since they had stayed awake, they saw his glory and the 2 men who stood with him. Just as they were leaving him, Peter said to Jesus, "Master, it is good for us to be here. Let us make 3 dwellings, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah," not knowing what he said. While he was saying this, a cloud came and overshadowed them, and they were terrified as they entered the cloud. Then from the cloud came a loud voice that said, "This is my son, my chosen. Listen to him." When the voice had spoken, Jesus was found alone, and they kept silent, and in those days told no one any of the things they had seen. Here ends the reading. Today, as we enjoy the sweet sounds of tenor sax, guitar, bass, voice, the laughter of children, and the shared song of one another, as we revel in the excesses of chocolate and confection, as we share laughter and joy, we do so acknowledging that we are on the cusp of a new season. The season of Lent begins on Wednesday. But we are not quite there yet, are we? And we are not. But we are determined to bring the season of Epiphany to a close with a bang. Epiphany ends much the way it started. At his baptism, Jesus heard a voice from heaven say, "You are my son, the beloved. With you I am well pleased." And at his transfiguration, the disciples heard a voice from the cloud say, "This is my son, my chosen. Listen to him." It feels like the first instance was for Jesus, to allay any doubts that he may have had or been feeling about who he was or what he was called to do. While the second instance from today's story is about reaffirming who Jesus was for the disciples' sake. Both were about identity. Jesus' identity, certainly, but also our identity. The disciples in the story saw and heard things on that mountaintop that changed their perception of Jesus, that revealed more about the one they dedicated their lives to following. It's very likely that in this room, we have all had mountaintop experiences of our own that brought new insight or inspired significant change or growth. The story of the Transfiguration is about Jesus, but it's also a metaphor for moments of revelation and discovery in our own lives that contribute to our knowledge of ourselves and our place and purpose in the world. Going back down the mountain, we know that we'll never be the same. And let's be honest, valley experiences can have a similarly transformative effect on us. Both the mountain and the valley of our lives open us to new discoveries, challenge us to change and grow, and teach us lessons about who we are, about our identity. One of the most profound lessons about our identity, about human identity in general, comes to us on Ash Wednesday. The day we put on ash, the leftover carbon of last year's palm branches, and remind one another that we too are dust, and to dust we will return. And knowing that opens us up to making the most out of this day and all our days. That's why we celebrate Fat Sunday. That's the purpose of Mardi Gras, to celebrate today with exuberance, open to all that life has to offer, while acknowledging that, among other things, we're dust, and to dust we will return. Taken together, these three observances, Transfiguration and Mardi Gras and Ash Wednesday, can have a profound message for each of us. The story of the disciples witnessing Jesus' transformation and hearing such a clear articulation of his identity serves as a mirror for our own transformations and an invitation to live authentic lives as the people we are. Ash Wednesday reminds us that among many other things that make us unique and special and beautiful, we are all, at our core, mortal. Dust. And in light of that knowledge, Mardi Gras reminds us to carpe the heck out of each diem, to celebrate life and all its joys, wonders, and revelries for the beautiful gift that it is. As we acknowledged at the beginning of the season of Epiphany, each of us, each of you, is a beloved child of God. We name and claim that for every person in their baptism, and it doesn't change. But throughout our lives, through mountaintops and valleys, we will learn, and we will change, and we will grow into exactly what that means for each of us. We're invited to celebrate along the way and to know with peace that the journey won't last forever. Identity, mortality, opportunity, they all intersect for us today. They bring today into sharper focus. Know who you are. Remember that you are finite. Live intentionally and gratefully and joyfully out of that knowledge, welcoming each and every day as a gift. Known as the people's poet, Edgar Guest articulates this better than I. He writes, "Life is a gift to be used every day, not to be smothered and hidden away. It isn't a thing to be stored in the chest where you gather your keepsakes and treasure your best. It isn't a joy to be sipped now and then and promptly put back in a dark place again. Life is a gift that the humblest may boast of, and one that the humblest may well make the most of. Get out and live it each hour of the day. Wear it and use it as much as you may. Don't keep it in niches and corners and grooves. You'll find that in service, its beauty improves." may it be so with us. And happy Ash Marty figuration. Amen.
As the disciples saw Jesus transfigured on the mountaintop long ago, we bear witness to the power of transformation in our world this day. We dedicate our gifts and ourselves to the ongoing work of transformation here and now and for all, that your realm might be in our very midst, even as it is in heaven. Amen.
And now, dear friends, remember that life is a gift to be used every day. A gift that the humblest may boast of and make the most of. May we live each day intentionally and gratefully and joyfully. And may the love of God, the friendship of Jesus, and the peace of God's Spirit bless and keep us all now and until we meet again. Amen.
The saints go marching in.